Let's discuss a few short topics as part of our wrap-up of our discussions in project management. There's the concept of project management maturity, the project management maturity of an organization. Many of the models of project management maturity measure maturity through a 5-step process. From ad hoc, in other words, not having any process within the organization, just doing it with whatever skills and tools and competencies happen to be available, through toward a designed process, through to a managed process where we actually capture lessons learned at the end of a project, through adaptive, where we're continuously improving our project management processes. And the suggestion in these models is that we're going to get better and better at project success as we get closer and closer to the right-hand side of the graph. More recent research in the UK is suggesting that depending on your project environment, that a lower level of project management maturity may be sufficient, and depending on your particular project and environment, and going beyond that may not be cost effective. Now, I'd like to think it's self-evident to all of us that in going into a project management role, that there's lots of tools and processes that I can draw upon to help me be more effective at managing a project. These couple of slides, though, are directed at the organization. I've taken these ideas from Harold Kerzner, the popular textbook author in project management. So it's his advice to organizations if they're introducing project management into that organization. Well, that kind of corporate initiative has to have the visible commitment of senior management, or it will fail. Functional managers have to be on board with this change because they're naturally going to feel threatened that project managers are going to be taking away some of their power and influence. So they have to be convinced and brought on board. Of course, any organization undertaking to bring in project management has to recognize that they're going to have to draw upon the knowledge and framework of organizational change, which helps get internal stakeholders on board with the change that we're making. And he's suggesting set up a project management office. This is the home within the organization of project management, of the processes, and usually or often the home of the project managers. We'll have a few words about this in a couple of minutes. And select your methodologies. In this series of video clips, we've been using the PMBOK guide, a guide to the project management body of knowledge, as our framework of processes and tools. But it is not a methodology. It's not meant to be adopted directly by an organization. An organization has to design its own methodology. What's going to be our life cycle phases? Which of these tools are we going to use, and how are we going to use them, and how documented are we going to be, or how undocumented are we going to be? For example, this is a methodology that my colleagues and I developed for a government client. You'll see the 4 project phases: initiation, planning and design, construction phase, and closeout phase. They're well-defined phases with well-defined deliverables, consistent with the PMBOK guide, and that work within their environment. Kerzner goes on to say project management training for people in the organization. Have a process to evaluate what competencies do you need in your project managers, and what competencies do people already have who might come into project management, and decide how you're going to select people and how you're going to hire people and how you're going to further develop your project leaders. Adopt the role of project sponsor. Make sure there's one more senior person assigned to every project as the person with a higher level of accountability, higher than the project manager. Emphasize a team approach. Projects are not done by individual superheroes. Projects are done by teams led by a project manager. And make a point of capturing lessons learned. Always at the end of a project, have a lessons learned exercise. Capture the lessons learned. See how you as an organization can learn from the lesson rather than just observe it. And we mentioned about project management offices. Well, there's a variety that we see out there. Some organizations will have, and these go from the lightest at the top to the heaviest at the bottom. A center of excellence is one or two people in an organization who maintain and promote best practices, standards, arrange training, perhaps lead community of practice groups within the organization where project management is discussed. One layer up is a project support office. It does all of the above, and it provides some shared resources, such as cost and schedule analysts who can be assigned to projects. And there can be some senior people for coaching, mentoring, consulting. But the project managers exist not in the project support office, but scattered around the rest of the organization. Then you can have a project management office, which is all of the above, but it is a home department for project managers. Perhaps for larger projects, the project management office assigns a project manager to the client department, who is actually then responsible for the project. But the PMO can monitor for compliance with the organization's project management process. Then you can have a program management office, which does all of the above, plus it manages the programs. It monitors, for example, that benefits are being achieved by the result of projects and contributing to corporate strategy. The concept of an accountable project office, this is responsible for large projects directly to a high level of the organization. So it actually carries out the project and reports to a higher level. I've taken these words from the PMBOK guide, but also from the project management author, Eric Verzu. So this wraps up a few of our topics in a wrap-up discussion of project management.